It started with a noise no one wants to hear after midnight. 3 slow knocks at the far end of the hall. Not on a door, not on a wall. On the air itself, like the building had lungs that learned to knock. Maya had just moved in that week. Boxes. Her elevator ride had stalled, coughed, and delivered her to a corridor that always seemed one light short. Mrs. Holloway next door had given a trembling warning over borrowed salt. "Do not look into that darkness too long, it looks back." Maya had smiled, because what else do you do when fear arrives dressed as neighborly advice? Tonight, her smile felt like a bad costume. The hall light flickered, then held, dim and heavy. A shape waited at the end of the carpet, not moving, but somehow leaning closer without taking a step. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. An unknown number wrote, "Do not count, keep your mouth empty." She laughed once, a dry bark of bravado, and opened her door wider to prove the universe she would not play. The shape twitched. The hall exhaled. A cold smell dragged across the floor, like wet coins and attic dust. Something tapped the air again. 1. Or not 1. The sound had the shape of the number, and her lips almost made it. She swallowed the syllable like a pill without water. The elevator at the far end sighed and thudded, as if it had dropped one floor inside itself. The display blinked 13, then 00, then nothing. The doors stayed closed. The carpet rippled once and went still. From somewhere behind the walls, faint footsteps began to mimic hers, landing a half beat after each breath she took. The building was learning her rhythm. Her apartment felt thinner, as if someone had scooped a spoonful out of each room while she was looking away. She backed up, keeping her eyes on the end of the hall. She could almost make out a face there if she let her focus blur. Not a face exactly, but a place where a face might grow if given permission. Another text slid in, "Do not turn off the hall light. Do not open any new doors." Maya whispered to the empty, "Who are you?" and the hall answered with a soft scrape, like a smile dragging across paint. Then the knocking shifted, not farther, not nearer, but inside the air around her, as if the number had moved into her lungs. She stood very still and tried not to think of counting. She tried not to think of anything at all. That was when the elevator bell dinged behind the darkness, a polite sound in a place that had no floors left to visit. Maya locked the door twice and set the chain. The apartment listened. Pipes clicked as if passing gossip. The refrigerator motor shivered itself awake, and then thought better of it. Her phone lay on the counter, the unknown number bright like an unblinking eye. Another text arrived, "Stay in the light, do not count." The living room had a lamp with a yellow shade. She turned it on and saw dust rise in the beam like drowned glitter. The shade pulsed once, as if something had breathed on it from inside, then steadied. For a minute, all she heard was her blood working to be brave. Then a knock came from a place that had no surface. It pressed at the air just above her left shoulder. Her jaw tensed, and the number pushed at her teeth like a word she had promised never to say. She bit her tongue until she tasted copper. The room tilted, corrected. The television turned itself on. Gray light painted the wall. The screen showed a hallway that could have been hers, but the carpet ran the wrong way. At the far end stood a door marked 12F, except the F was becoming a 3, stroke by stroke, as if an absent hand kept carving deeper. The camera in the television began to move, gliding forward with a motion that made her stomach pitch. Maya stepped closer, compelled by the sick gravity of recognition. The view drifted toward the door. A breath fogged the inside of the screen. Letters traced themselves in the mist. "Keep your mouth empty." The knock came again. Not 1, not 2. Just the shape of numbers seeking a home. She killed the power. The screen stayed on for a second too long. In that second, she saw her own reflection, except her mouth was open in it and counting without sound. When the glass finally went black, her reflection kept moving for a heartbeat after she froze. She grabbed the lamp and dragged it toward the door. Light spilled into the hall through the peephole. A figure stood there, too close for a neighbor, still for a person. Her breath fogged the lens from her side. From the other side came a whisper like a bookmark sliding. 3 doors, 3 nights, choose carefully. No, she said to no one, and the building creaked as if amused. The chain ticked at the wood, her phone buzzed once more. A new instruction wrote itself like a threat that wanted to be helpful. If you must flee, do not take the stairs. Maya looked at the door to the stairwell down the hall and felt it looking back, pleased to be noticed. By morning, Maya had not slept. Dawn made the hallway look almost innocent, as if the night had only been an error in lighting. She brewed coffee and did not drink it. The steam carried a smell like hot coins. The text thread with unknown sat open like a prayer book. There was no new message. The last line glared. Do not take the stairs. She needed groceries. She needed human daylight. Every inch of her body said do not open the door, and yet the same inches said go anyway. Maya propped her lamp on a dining chair so light would touch the threshold even while she was gone. She checked the peephole. The hall was empty but not unoccupied, as a stage is empty right before the actors arrive. She stepped out. The corridor breathed. Her shoes made real sounds again, not the copied half-step from the night. The elevator was waiting with its mild hotel chime and a display that showed a friendly 04. She smiled without trust. The doors slid apart. Inside, the mirror offered her a pale, determined stranger. She pressed L. The button glowed. The doors closed. The car sank a little and stopped. The display should have changed. It did not. The fan hummed. The mirror breathed fog and cleared on a rhythm that matched nothing human. Maya felt the old hunger of the building seeping through the seams. The doors opened onto a floor she had never seen. The carpet here was new. The lights were bright and pointless, as if performing brightness. Every door was unmarked, except one at the far end that wore a metal plate engraved 12E, then 12F, then 123, changing when she blinked. A key turned somewhere with the politeness of a butler. Maya jammed closed door. The elevator considered the request like an adult indulging a child. The doors drifted inward. They paused. A knock slid through the gap before metal met metal. Not 1, not 2. The shape of counting brushed her lips from the inside. She clamped her teeth and tasted old copper again. The car finally sealed. The display rolled numbers in the wrong order. 735BL1, then a blank line. The phone in her pocket vibrated so hard it felt like a trapped insect. She looked. A photo from unknown. It showed the stairwell door on her floor. The handle was turned down. The caption read, "Please do not feed it." She hit alarm. It chirped and quit. Her reflection raised a finger to hush her before she moved. When the chime sounded for the lobby, no one waited. A draft slid around her shoes, smelling of a basement that had never warmed. Okay. The day pretended to be normal. Maya bought milk she did not want, and bread she would not eat. She spoke out loud to the cashier just to hear a human voice answer. It helped, and did not. Back upstairs, her key missed the lock twice. The hallway seemed longer than the elevator had left it. The light above 12F hummed at a frequency that felt like a warning meant for insects. Inside, the lamp still burned on the chair, a tired guardian. The text thread remained quiet. Maya set the groceries down and listened to the thin hush of her rooms. Even silence had footsteps in it now if she paid attention. They followed behind the beats of her own heart. She tried to nap with the radio on, tuned between stations until the voices smoothed into a fog of almost words. Sleep came like a dealer with cards she did not want. She dreamed of doors that learned to breathe and walls that leaned to listen. When she woke, dusk had moved in and drawn the curtains on her behalf. A text waited. 3 doors, 3 nights, choose carefully. She typed back, "What happens if I choose wrong?" The reply was instant, "The stairs will remember you." Maya deleted the words twice before sending, What if I do nothing? The answer arrived like a friend telling a secret you cannot use. It will do it for you. The building settled around her, making old wood prayers. Far down the corridor, something soft dragged. The hall light dimmed to a late amber. The darkness at the end of the carpet pressed forward like a patient tide. She stood in her doorway, holding the lamp as if it were a shield that had forgotten how. Then the knocks began again. They did not count. They suggested counting the way thunder suggests distance. Her mouth ached with the urge to shape numbers. Her phone buzzed with a final set of rules. If it calls your name, do not answer. If you see yourself in the hall, do not follow. If the elevator offers a new floor, do not accept. A scrape cut through the knocks. A shape leaned into the light, longer than a person, arms hanging as if they had been remembered incorrectly. It waited. It was not a threat, and not a plea. It was an appointment. Her name slid across the paint in a dry whisper. Maya closed her eyes and did not say, yes? She did not count. She stood in the light and let the night count itself. Cold gathered at her ankles. The stairwell handle eased down. She took one step back and the shape echoed her. A half-beat late, practicing her weight. It listened. Slow. Night folded itself into a smaller, heavier version of the building. The hall became a throat. Maya stood at the doorway until her knees trembled from the order to be still. The pressure gathered. She pictured teeth as a gate. She kept the gate shut. When the lamp finally died, it did not pop or fade. It simply went absent. The darkness pressed closer, curious and kind in the way a deep lake is kind. Maya raised her phone. The screen lit her face and threw a pale coin of glow onto the hall. Unknown texted, "If you run, run quietly. If you hide, hide where you cannot hear yourself." The elevator dinged at the wrong end of the corridor. The doors slid open onto a brightness that did not belong to this building. A new floor number waited, plain as a dare. Oh. The smell of fresh paint drifted out, sweet and dizzy. The shape at the end of the hall turned its head toward that glow like a plant finding sun. Maya moved, quiet steps, careless breath. She angled for the elevator without letting the urge to count touch her mouth. The car held steady, polite as a held door. She reached the threshold and felt a cold fingertip of air touch her teeth from inside the car. It tasted of pennies and erased names. She looked back down the corridor. The shape had stepped into the last circle of light, wrong-limbed and eager. The stairwell handle eased lower, patient as a taught trick. She could hear the building choosing routes to her. The rules crowded her head. There were no doors left. She did the impolite thing. She spoke first. "I am not yours," she told the hall, "and you are not mine." The corridor drew breath as if tasting the grammar of that. The knocks stuttered, searching for a count that fit. The shape tilted its head like a question. The stairwell door relaxed, almost shy. Maya turned away from the elevator and walked straight into the dark between the circle of light and the shadow. She kept her mouth empty. She kept her teeth closed. She kept the number from being born. The darkness stepped aside 1 inch, then another. It was not mercy, it was recognition. She reached her door and closed it. The chain laid itself down with a tired click. Inside, the silence had a pulse she could live with. Her phone lit one last time. Unknown wrote, "Good. Do not feed it. Do not name it. Do not count." Maya put the phone face down and let the dark forget her. The building exhaled. So hush. Now hush. Somewhere, very far below, the stairs began counting all by themselves.